Welcome once again to Them Nerds. I am Tony, and that over there is Jerry, and we are here today with our weekly Throwback Thursday episode. Today, we are reviewing a doozy. This is one that I had never seen, even though I was a child of the 80s, and Jerry shamed me into watching it, and I'll never forgive him. No, I'm kidding.
And now we're all shamed.
Yes. We are going to talk with you today about the 1986 film Howard the Duck, which strangely was executive produced by George Lucas. He must have been drinking when he signed that contract. The cheese on this thing. There are some things right off the bat that just like poured cheddar all over the place. When he first walked into his apartment and there was a poster with May Nest and W.C. Fowles, and there were just like stupid duck puns like that throughout the whole film. Like in his wallet, he had a card for blooming ducks. So bad. I mean, it was like, we're talking about this last night. It was such an 80s movie, like the quintessential 80s movie. You've seen it. I hadn't. Did it hold up for you?
Actually, I didn't remember the movie going that way at all. But I did think that. I haven't seen it since I was 5 years old, so which probably wasn't appropriate at the time either. But I didn't. It was like watching a whole new movie for me because I had really no recollection, and everything that I thought I remembered about the movie wasn't in the movie. So.
Yeah. You mentioned watching it at 5 years old. Shame on Jerry's parents for that one, because wowzers. First of all, he's in his apartment, he's watching the TV, and there's an advertisement for something called the Crotch Buster. And then he picks up an episode of Play Duck, or an issue of Play Duck. And
there was plenty of duck nudity, which is just very odd.
Okay, and I've seen ducks. They don't wear clothes. And I've seen them nude. No duck that I have ever seen in my life has humanoid breasts with nipples. Why were there duck nipples, Jerry?
I wasn't on the production, so I don't know. But
George Lucas, if you're watching, I demand you explain the duck nipples.
I think the premise of it altogether just didn't make a whole lot of sense. It almost seemed like they were just like, yeah, do what you want. And he was just like, all right, that's exactly what I was going to do, because there really was no rhyme or reason what the point of the whole movie was.
I think he probably got a good deal on a duck suit and was like, you know what? I'm going to make this duck movie.
I think, though, that and maybe I was just, looking for things to find inside the movie, that there's a possibility that there was a bigger plan in play there, because there was mentions within the movie of things that are MCU related. So I was wondering whether or not that, it was like a tongue-in-cheek thing towards the comics exactly, or what. I don't have any idea. I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, the movie itself, I wouldn't even say that I laughed one time. I wasn't not entertained. I didn't think it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen.
It was the worst movie I've ever seen.
No, it definitely wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. But it was definitely one of those kind of movies, like, you're just watching it because, like, it's like when you go to school and they give you an assignment to watch a movie and you really don't want to watch it, but you just go ahead and do it anyways. And that's kind of what it came down to.
Right. For those that aren't familiar with Howard the Duck, he is actually a Marvel Comics property. And so that's what Jerry was talking about there. He mentioned, he referred to some people as mutants, and there were some references to, we messed with the universe, and I don't know, just little things. Of course, we are looking for things like that, so of course we're going to find them.
Yeah, and they also, Howard the Duck has, since the MCU reboot or creation of the MCU, has shown up on screen 3 times. So,
he's canon.
Yeah. That's the one you see in Guardians of the Galaxy or on the last scene of Endgame is definitely not the Howard the Duck that you see in 1986. Who I don't know if his plan was to be. I always thought in the comics he was a detective. Maybe I was wrong about that.
I think he was.
but in this one he's like a jingles writer, and the weird thing was to me also is that they got an actual like two out of the three leads were people who had a pretty good career in the 80s.
Right.
And you had Leah Thompson, who was in Back to the Future, the mom in the Back to the Future, every single movie she was in. You have Ed Gale, who was like any movie that you could think of in the 80s where somebody got possessed, he was in that movie. You know, Beetlejuice he was in. I'm sorry, that was Jeffrey Jones. And Ferris Bueller he was in. And then Ed Gale actually played Howard the Duck. And that's how bad it was. I mean, I'd rather listen to Howard Stern.
I wish it was Howard Stern.
And he's from Child's Play. And so, I mean, like, you got these people that, like, you know, they were making some money in the 80s. And they're like, yeah, you know what? This Duck film sounds like it's going to be a real blockbuster.
George Lucas threw that duck money at them, and they couldn't resist.
Yeah.
It was, you know, you mentioned these, like...
It was literally the duck money from the movie.
Right.
With George Washington with the bill.
Yeah, right? So bad. You know, you mentioned that there were some like 80s fixtures in here, and I mean, this movie was like, it just drips 80s. The cheese, you know, Jeffrey Jones, you know, being Rooney from Ferris Bueller, and Mr. Dietz from Beetlejuice, along with, like you mentioned, Beverly, played by Leah Thompson, who, by the way, was really oddly horny for a duck alien. I don't know what that was all about.
She also was a rock star that wasn't singing rock music, so I mean...
I don't know. I don't know. There's Jem and the Holograms meets Bestiality, and then Star Wars money thrown at it from George Lucas. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if...
Abomination.
Yeah, maybe she should have been the jingle writer.
Maybe so. Maybe so. With such hits as Howard the Duck.
That will get stuck in your head for 30 years.
It has been stuck in my head ever since I heard it. Thank you for that. Appreciate
no
that.
problem.
You know what? One thing that stood out in this movie that I thought was so strange is like, he was a very small humanoid duck who spoke, right? He really wasn't that much of an outcast when he was out on the streets. People looked at him like, oh my, it's a duck. Like, in this real life world, he would have been bagged and tagged and mounted on somebody's wall within like 2 hours of falling to earth.
Well, especially since, you know, the second line of the first part of the movie was them basically trying to stop them opening up these portals into the universe and bringing other things into the planet. The second thing that was really played up a lot was that it was duck season in Cleveland.
Right.
So you would have thought that it would have been a movie where Howard was constantly being hunted by hunters.
Right.
But that never takes place.
No.
There's one scene with hunters, and he's hunting them with a plane.
He was accosted by stereotypical street punks, and then by a diner full of very hateful patrons. That was very like lynch mob. Not a very comfortable scene, especially given the fact that Jeffrey Jones' Dr. Jennings character was sitting off to the side glowing, and they were worried about the duck.
Yeah. They just happened to have, I believe it was a Chinese cook on hand, which was completely made sense for an 80s movie to be that racist.
Yes.
So,
speaking of Dr. Jennings and his special effects driven transformation, holy crap, those 80s special effects are the worst.
Which is crazy, seeing though it's George Lucas and you're making a whole franchise that you are developing what CGI is today. Well, and you come up with these claymation, I don't even know what they were supposed to be.
If you watch the credits, ILM is credited.
Yeah.
What were they credited for? I don't know. Were they responsible for the weird claymation flea creature in the big boss battle at the end? Were they responsible for Dr. Jennings having a large phallic tentacle come out of his mouth and plug into the cigarette lighter? I don't know.
And that part made no sense. He said he needed energy, and then he stuck his tentacle into the cigarette lighter, which all that would have done was burn it.
Right.
That's literally what. Now, kids nowadays wouldn't understand that because they don't have cigarette lighters in a car. Right. But for all the rest of us who were born around then, we all know that you push that thing in there, you wait for it to pop back, and it's, searing hot when it comes out. So I don't think he's getting any energy out of that. He's getting third-degree burns.
Today's kids will not know the pain that we had from our parents having those things in the car and using
You
them.
know what though? Maybe I'm completely wrong about that because for those of us who are old enough, we know that you can also use a CD player out of a cigarette lighter. So maybe it does conduct energy.
But only if you drive on
George
a really
Lucas,
smooth road.
George Lucas has literally just explained electricity to me, and I had no idea, and it was all thanks to Howard the Duck.
See, it's a Jedi mind trick. He got you from in a roundabout way.
Take it all back. This movie was great.
All right, listen, we're gonna watch a lot of bad movies for this Throwback Thursday thing that we're gonna be doing every week, and we're gonna be hard pressed, I think, to find a movie worse than Howard the Duck. It was just terrible, just terrible. All right, I don't know how much more we can expound on the wonders of humanoid duck nipples and mouth tentacles. Do you have anything else to say about this film that hasn't already been said by you, me, or the internet?
I believe that the 1986 Oscars were robbed from Howard the Duck. I mean, really, at the end of the day, this movie showed how different species can get along through the art of song. And I mean, that's beautiful, really, if you think about it.
And the award for Best Humanoid Duck Nipples goes to George Lucas. All right, guys. That is our review of the wonderful, terrible pile of cheese that is Howard the Duck. Join us tomorrow for our Fantasy Friday show, where we will be discussing Spider-Man and the possibilities of a live-action Into the Spider-Verse style film. We're going to do a little bit of fantasy casting. We're going to be doing a little bit of, working around what's already been given to us in the MCU. Also, please join us every Tuesday for news and goings-on in the nerd sphere. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at We Them Nerds. Thank you for joining us. Be good to each other. Bye.